lot of people ask me as to we try to implement systems and process in the company, but it takes people just don't follow the rules. Some follow, most of them don't follow, and then we get tired and we just leave it alone. What do we do? First and foremost, I must tell you that putting systems and process in an individual driven company is going to be extremely challenging, because as I have always said that first the organization starts as an individual driven company, then it becomes a people driven company, then it becomes system and process driven company, and then it becomes data driven company, then it becomes culture driven company, and then it becomes collective consciousness driven company. Now this is a long process, and I call it the process of change. And any kind of change or transformation involves 5 stages. I call it the 5 stages of change. The first one is known as the honeymoon period. The second one is known as the discomfort period. The third is known as the discovery period. The fourth is known as the experimentation period. And the fifth is known as the consolidation period. Like in any love marriage, it takes a lot of time to consolidate. First, everything is very hunky-dory and beautiful, which is like the honeymoon period. And then comes the discomfort period when you start working with your parents at home. Your wife doesn't get along with your father or mother or whatever may be the case. She doesn't get along with your sister. So the discomfort starts. Many people divorce the process and they say that I am not in a position to sustain this particular marriage and divorce the whole process. And they go back to pre-honeymoon stage. But the ones who are brave hearts go to the third stage, which is known as the experiment, the discovery phase. And then they discover that there are many things that are there in the marriage that they can put in place, and therefore they start discovering that you start discovering that your wife sings well and your father likes singing, and therefore there is a match that starts happening, and so they discover each other's good qualities, and the marriage progresses to the fourth stage, which is known as experimentation stage, where you actually physically do a whole lot of experimentation. Now she didn't know how to cook, she starts experimenting with that, and ultimately through, and this is the right time when the real heart comes into the picture, and then comes the last stage, which is known as the consolidation period. Now this may take 18 months, it may take 3 years, it may take 5 years, but the process has to be kept alive. Similarly in an organization which is individual driven, and then it becomes people driven, and then you're ultimately trying to put systems and process in place. Obviously, people who are not used to systems and process are not going to follow lines, and they're not going to toe lines, and they're not going to do everything that is expected. In the beginning, when you put this system and process, everybody feels that life is going to be beautiful, this is lovely, and we're going to have a great life, and time, efforts are going to be reduced, and work is going to become easy. That's the honeymoon period. But people soon realize that they will have to do a whole lot more, and that is where the discomfort period comes. Many people divorce the whole process, and they just let go, and they say this is not possible, whether it's an ERP system that you're trying to implement, or whether it's any kind of system and process related to any department. People are going to resist the change, and they're going to divorce it at the second stage. But as I said, the brave hearts, the entrepreneurs and the leaders who have the commitment of transformation, who understand that transformation is not an easy game, it's going to be a long drawn game. It is not a change process, because change is reversible, transformation is irreversible. Change is a two-way process, transformation is a one-way process. Change corrects the past, transformation creates the future. Now if you want to create the future, it's not going to be easy, and therefore you have to sustain and go to the third stage, which is known as the discovery stage, where people start discovering newer ways of doing things, and they discover that it is not so difficult, and they start doing things. And this is where they look at each other, get encouraged from each other, and then comes the fourth stage, which is known as the experimentation period. Experimentation period is the period where people from their heart, with tremendous amount of commitment and passion and enthusiasm and the will to succeed, put very, very gigantic efforts, and that is the time when the whole thing like a jigsaw puzzle starts falling in place. And then comes the last stage, which is known as the consolidation period. Now this may take 18 months to 2 years to 3 years. Now only great leaders have the ability to take a transformation process to its logical conclusion. So they start from a particular place and they take it to a logical conclusion, because they have the ability to sustain, they have the ability to motivate people for long periods, because people are normal. And putting a system and process in place in a company where systems and processes were not there is an abnormal process. So the abnormality of the whole thing has to be created, the energy has to be created, the electrification has to be done. And if all these things are done by the leader with tremendous amount of commitment, with not putting any deadlines that I'm going to try it for the next 6 months, I'm going to try it for the next 12 months, you have to do it till it happens. You have to do it till it happens. And that is what sustainable leadership, that is what transformational leadership is all about. And if you can be a transformational leader, you will be in a position to put systems and process and sustain it for a long period and institutionalize the whole process, making your organization go to the next level. This is why I feel that systems and process are not easy, and therefore it's difficult, but it's challenging, but it's not impossible. Sustainability is the most important thing, and great leaders with transformational power and with great transformational skills are the only ones who will succeed. Thank you.